Yeah. Welcome everyone to the Elite Mastermind sessions, where we'll be studying KT's, Kevin Trudeau's Your Wish is Your Command, part of level 1 training. Now, each session we'll be going through one CD at a time. And the reason why we decided to do these sessions and share it with everyone is because when you initially learn new information, you start to fire new neurons in the brain. You start to spark different thoughts. And as you continue to learn the information, you'll fire and wire neurons together. And when you repeat the information and really understand it and have cognitions and really deepen your understanding over it, you eventually can become hardwired to this information. So in effect, you're vibrating these concepts. It becomes a part of you rather than just knowledge. And so you might have heard Hebbian law or Hebb's law, which was
nerve cells that fire together, wire together.
So in effect, when we're going through these sessions and deepening our understanding of it, what we're doing is we're creating neurological changes in our brain. So our brain structure will start to change. You will build new neural pathways. That means that you'll start to think differently. And if you think differently, that leads to new choices, behaviors, and actions in your life that eventually lead to new experiences. So you'll be living a completely different life. So that's the magic of it. So let's begin, and may we never be the same again. Kashmir, do you want to start the introductions?
So we're going to go around and introduce everyone for our audience. So we're going to begin with Mario. Mario, where are you from?
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me. Well, yeah, my name is Mario. I'm from Cologne, Germany. And I would like to say that I came across the CDs from Your Wish is Your Command in 2012, I think it was. And back then I was studying in the Netherlands, and I was already into self-development, and I got a CD from another friend. And this person on the CD was talking about the act as if method. And the guy talked about it a minute, and I was like, wow, act as if, this is all I need, and wow, it's crazy. I just need this method to act as if, and everything will be going fine. And this other friend of me, who knew that I was into this stuff, he came along and said, hey, I have this CD from a friend. It's about Kevin Trudeau. I don't know if you heard about him. And I was like, I don't need anything else. I have the act as if method, and this was my attitude. And he was like, well, yeah, you just give it a try. It's very good. I was like, yeah, I don't need it. But he was very pushy at the time. And today I love him for this, because he was so pushy that when I was back at his home, he put on the CDs without asking me. And I listened to KT's voice and what he was saying. And it was so crystal clear. It made perfect sense. And you know, all the voice of Kevin, when he talks, he's a genius in communication. It makes perfect sense, and you get captivated. And I was like, hey, thank you. He was like, yeah, I can give you the CDs. I don't care about this. And I was like, hey, perfect. I'll take them. And I went home and I listened to all 6 CDs in one day, taking notes in my bed, I remember. And I couldn't sleep that night, because I was so, mind boggled, let's say, that I was thinking about all the stuff that I want to do, and making plans and listening, and then something changed, and I never stopped pursuing learning about this more. And I think it was a whole 2 years that I listened only to these CDs over and over again, like he says. And then some other CDs came out, and this is my journey until today. So, and what I hope to get from these sessions with you guys is that it's just so nice to have like-minded people who you can exchange information and get new cognitions and get your viewpoints and see at what point you are at, and maybe share some information, because I don't have the friends. I love my friends, but they are not so much into this stuff as I am, if at all. So I know, Kashmir, we talked about this.
Yes,
we know the feeling. We know the feeling.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for having me, and happy to get to know you guys.
Thank you.
And
It's
thank
a
you so
pleasure
much.
having you, Mario.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
And thank you for sharing your story. That
Yes.
was we resonate with a lot of things that you
Yeah,
said.
I know we talked
Yeah.
about it. We share a lot of
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Arman, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us how you got into Katie's teachings?
Yes, sir. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Arman. I'm from Madrid, Spain. And about the Kevin material, Kevin CDs, I discovered this information, these amazing CDs, like 3 years back when I was, I think, in network marketing. And one friend told me, I'm going to give you a gift, right? And she told me, you have to listen to these CDs of 14 hours. I said, what? 14 hours? You're crazy, right? And then I think the same thing happened to me as happened to Mario. Just from the very beginning, when I started listening to Kevin, I really felt he was very authentic, very logical. I really love him because he doesn't just share his experience, but other experience of people, Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill, Esther Hicks. So to my point of view, that was amazing, right? And it was very interesting, everything about secret societies. I remember I started applying the information, also natural cures. I reduced like 8 kgs, 8 kilograms, and well, it was really amazing. And also after listening to 1 year to information, also very similar feeling happened to me with Mario. I didn't find like-minded people. So that's when, for example, I met Oscar and David, who were people here in Madrid who were fanatical of KT. So I think I was very lucky. And well, that's the story. And then what I think I can get from these masterminds, I think it's very what Mina said about the cognitions, and that, I think that's the most important part. But also, I think it's more about giving. I think we can create this awesome mastermind, and we can create those vibrations which can attract awesome things, not only to us, but also to the planet. So
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
wow.
I love that, Arman. You know,
Beautiful.
one of the things that's so important to us, and even when because we also hold book club sessions and read transformative books, is that when you collectively get a group together and you're all focused on the same information, you elevate your vibration. That vibration is going out to the universe, so you're adding to the collective consciousness. You actually
raising the consciousness of planet Earth.
Yes,
we're not just doing this for us.
We're doing this for everyone
For the
else.
whole planet.
Yeah, for the whole planet.
That's it.
Yeah, amazing.
That's it.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much
Arman.
for sharing, Arman.
And we'd love to hear Oscar's.
Oscar, ve si quieres poco a poco y yo voy traduciendo, ¿vale?
Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar Medina. I live in Madrid, Spain. A friend recommended Kevin CDs to me, and at first I ignored them because my ability to learn was low at that time. Another friend recommended them again 2 weeks later, and I started to listen to them. The information that Kevin presented in the CDs was the key that I was missing. Si no se me entiende algo, dímelo, Armand.
Bueno, regular.
I had been motivated for a long time, and it completely revolutionized me.
It completely revolutioned your your life.
Wow.
I finally discovered the true formula to master the master that I have been looking for so many years. This
he has found like the formula to therefore to master every area of his life.
Oh, wow.
This happened to me 3.5 years ago. Since I have listening 69 times to
Wow.
to the sexto mandato.
Yeah, he has listened 69 times to Your Wishes, Your Commands CDs.
Oh, wow. That's
You're
amazing.
I have performed thousands of miracles. Some of them almost unbelief for people. It's incredible.
Okay. También, Oscar, si quieres, dime, porque hay una de las preguntas que es, ¿qué es lo que te gustaría llevarte de esta sesión? ¿Qué es lo que te gustaría, aprender?
Sí, eso es lo que viene ahora.
Sí.
Y no sé si me entiende algo, dímelo, que sé, ¿no? No se me entenderá nada, ¿no?
Tú dime, sí, bueno, como quieras, como quieras.
I am very grateful to belong to this study group. Thank you.
Okay.
I love your program Mastermind with like-minded people.
Like-minded people. Yeah.
Accelerate the learning process.
Accelerate the learning process. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
My burning desire is, o sea, mi ardiente deseo.
Your burning desire, yeah.
Is every day to learn more, faster and better to law of attraction.
¿Qué es eso último que has dicho?
Cada día aprender más rápido y mejor la ley de atracción.
Okay, his burning desire is to learn faster the law of attraction.
Y pasar por la vida como un mago, un genio, un caballero Jedi.
And go through life like a Jedi Knight.
That's
Classic
wonderful.
line, walk
Yeah.
through life like a Jedi Knight. Yeah, that's a cool one.
Lovely. Thank
I
you
believe-
so much. Yes.
I believe that among like will master the 5 fundamentals. O sea, quiero dominar al máximo los 5 fundamentos.
He wanna master the 5 basics.
Y creo que pertenecer a este grupo pues contribuirá a ello.
And he's also saying that by being in this group, he's gonna help not only him, but also you to master the basics.
Wonderful.
Ya por último,
And last,
quiero aprender inglés.
he wants to learn English.
Oh.
Y vais a ser testigos de cómo aplicando la fórmula alguien que prácticamente no tiene idea, simplemente se defiende, va a aprender a hablar inglés fluido y se me va a entender perfectamente.
And he's saying also that you're gonna be like you're gonna present, you're gonna see someone who doesn't know anything about English. Through the formula, he's gonna be very fluent speaking at it, and also one day be friend of Katie.
Oh, wow. I love that. Thank you so much, Oscar. That was wonderful, and we're blessed to have you in the group. And especially when you've shared that it's just transformed your life, you know, that's wonderful, and that's the evidence that this stuff works.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's begin. Kashmir, do you want to start, or shall I start? I'll make a start. A start. So I've got some notes here. So basically, we're going to go through track 1, maybe track 1 and track 2 first. So just for those who will be watching this and don't know anything about Katie's teachings, or do know a little but can't remember all the information, the basic teachings of Your Wishes, Your Command is to be, do, and have anything and everything you want. You know, you have the Aladdin's lamp, the personal genie that grants you your wish with incredible speed. Now, what it is that you want to be, do, and have is different for different people, but this is what the teachings are about. So that's just a broad summary of what the CDs are about. So the first concept that Kevin Trudeau talks about in the CD1 is, who do you listen to? Now, the reason why he asked this question is because there are thousands and thousands of books, audios, lectures, seminars, workshops, courses on how to be, do, and have.
And now in this day and age, we have YouTube videos. Back in the day, YouTube wasn't so big, so information wasn't coming from YouTube. Now the #1 source of information is in fact YouTube.
For many people,
there are dozens and dozens, if not millions of YouTube women and guys teaching about the law of attraction.
We're very much an information age where there's just we're bombarded with information. So who do you listen to when you want to improve your life, improve yourself, excel in life, it gets more complicated when there's more information, there's more noise out there. So the question of who do you listen to is really important concept to grasp and to understand. And can you remember what the two parts of who do you listen to is?
Who would like to answer the question? Who do you listen to, guys? Arman.
Listen to people who have what you want, and listen to people who have been where you are.
That's it. And there's one more part to the who do you listen
and
to? How does it
ultimately end? Listen to yourself, right?
Absolutely, yes. Ultimately, now that's powerful.
And
that is powerful.
That's key. Let's home in on that, shall we? Okay, so
yes. So do you want to explain why ultimately you listen to yourself? In fact, first talk about people who have what you want and have been where you are, why that's important.
Yeah, you want to listen to people who have what you want and have been where you are, because they've actually applied the information in real life experience, in a holistic sense, like not just through personal experience. They've done it in the real world through real business at a deeper consciousness level. And I learned that later on from Kevin. So you don't want to listen to people who are just regurgitating theory, you see, because a lot of people just read books and listen to audios and then just regurgitate it. And that's how most of these people make their money, as we know. They make money through selling books and courses on how to make money, but have they actually really made money in the real business world? The only way they made it was through that one avenue stream, you know, teaching people how to make money. So you're not going to get the true, accurate information there. And also you're not going to get the accurate information from reading people's autobiographies. So you may say, I want to learn how to become rich and successful and become an owner of or a titan or captain of an industry. So you may read a book on about Steve Jobs, or you might read Donald Trump's autobiography or Bill Gates' autobiography. But did you know, guys, that of course, the autobiographies were not written by these guys themselves. They were written by a ghostwriter. And a lot of these people hadn't even read their own books, or let alone, you know, write their own books. So you're not getting the true information.
So we're not necessarily getting the true information, that's it. And the other one is ultimately you listen to yourself, feelings. And this is really powerful because what Kevin says in other teachings as well, and in fact, he's also shared this with me as well, that he says, you are doing this. You are ultimately, you the one who has the power. You know, because if you're dependent on somebody else, that's taking the power away from you. So we are very powerful beings, and we have unlimited capacity to create what we want. However, we don't recognize that. So ultimately, we are the true. We are the masters, you know, of our own lives. And so, of course, it's important to have mentors and coaches and people that are going to help us through our journey. But ultimately, we have the power, and we are connected to something much higher than us, which is divine intelligence. And so each of us has this connection, and each of us can access this information. So does anyone want to add anything more to ultimately listen to your own feelings, or, you know, the concepts around who do you listen to? Is there anything, any cognitions that you have,
or any experiences or insights you've had where you've listened to a mentor, or you've listened to a teacher in a course, but then you realize that, hey, what they were telling me was in fact not really truly resonating with me. When I finally decided to listen to myself, my own feelings, my gut instinct, my intuition, that's when I actually got what I truly wanted and felt liberated and free. Did any of you guys have that kind of experience or insight or cognition?
Yes. I mean, there's also an emphasis on your gut feeling. You know, it's a feeling in your gut. I mean, there have been times when I thought I would feel it in my gut, but it was actually my mind telling me. Wow. You know, there's a difference.
Yes.
And there's also a part when Kevin says it's not actually in this CD, but in another CD, where he explains that there was this time when he was selling the mega memory. You remember when there was this British guy who had a perfect accent. He sounded very good, and the stuff sounds good, you know. But your eyes and ears will deceive you. So, but your gut feeling is always right, you know. Mm-hmm. So listen to your gut feeling.
Listen to your gut
That's it,
feeling.
yes.
Yes. And you're right, when you can sometimes mistake your gut feeling with your thoughts and your, you know, what you're thinking, and your mind. So it's being able to distinguish, discern and be able to recognize that. And Armand, you were going to say something?
Yes, I wanted to share something that I talked with Oscar like 2 days ago. Voy a compartir, Oscar, lo que hablé un poco contigo, porque están hablando de escucharte a ti mismo, tus emociones. So I asked Oscar something related to listen to your gut, and I asked him like, because there are like two lines when it comes to, for example, when you listen to yourself and you feel bad, it's like, okay, it's not the right way, right? So I asked Oscar that sometimes I feel that I want something and you know, you feel good, right? You say, wow, yes, but suddenly your gut feeling says, feels bad, right? And Oscar told me that that's fear, but fear from the mind, like, well, you want that, but you feel like this, I don't know, you feel fear, right? So that's a very, I don't know how to say this
fine line between,
fine line,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
So
That's
Oscar
right.
was telling me that it's a very fine line, but if you want something, you feel good, and suddenly you feel bad or you feel fear, that you have to still go through that way. No?
Yes, yeah.
Like
because the fear could be coming from past, like, subconscious programming. So even though you want something and it feels good, and then this fear comes up, it could be something from your past wiring, you know, of your negative patterns or negative experiences in the past. So yeah, it is definitely a fine line. I definitely agree with you. And you know, Katie does say in CD1, going back to all the thousands and millions of books and audios and courses out there, that most of them, he actually says 99.9% of them that produced all this information didn't really make any real money. So when we're talking about money in this concept, in this context, most of them didn't. They made it through their books and their courses and their merchandise, but they didn't actually make real money in the real world. And I can certainly think of a few examples of people like that.
Me too.
Yeah, definitely.
I bought so many courses.
Oh,
it wasn't for me, but it sounded good.
it sounded good. That's it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just to be aware of that. It doesn't mean that you never do a course or you never, you know, read another book. I think it's very important to look at everything with an open mind and also have discernment. And this is what Katie talks about later on in some of the tracks. So do you want to go through track 3 about the actual, this is the really exciting part of when I first discovered Katie's teachings, was when he was talking about secret societies. You know, it felt like, oh, what is this? You know, I mean, I'd heard of them, but I never really gave it much thought until, you know, Katie introduced, you know, more information about these secret societies. So, Kashmir, yeah.
Yeah, so there are such a thing called secret societies. Nothing to be afraid of. But there are quite a few. So, you know, Freemasons being one of them, the 33 degree, Bilderbergs, the Illuminati, the blue. Okay, so then you have the Blue Bloods and secret societies, yeah, and Yale Skull and Bones. And he said, what is really taught in these secret societies is just that they share information on how to be excellent as a human being, how to be, do and have anything and everything you want, how the universe works, how your mind works, how you can create your own reality, how you can manifest what you want and manifest your desires. Exactly. Now, Kevin Trudeau was a member of the Brotherhood, and this was one of the largest secret societies that wasn't as well known as the Freemasons, and Skull and Bones. And he was the first one to kind of step out of the Brotherhood because he wanted to teach this information, get it out to the masses. And Andrew Carnegie was also a member of the Brotherhood, as well as, I think, Aristotle and Onassis. So quite a few successful people. And yeah.
But Kevin Trudeau also says that, you know, whatever your desires are, it's okay. Everyone's got different desires. So it could be wealth, and that also varies for other people. Some people want to be billionaires, some people millionaires, and some people just enough to live comfortably, you know. So there's no wrong and right. And some people, it will be relationships or health or just be a great parent or something like that. So whatever your desires are, it's all okay. and this information can be applied to anything in your life. So there was something different, Katie said, about the Brotherhood compared to the other secret societies. You did mention something. I don't know if anyone can remember.
I wanted to add that this is a good point that you're saying, that it could be anything, you know. When I sometimes talk about success in a, if the topic comes up, people always think about money.
Yes.
I think they say I don't need a lot of money. I'm comfortable with what I'm getting. It's not about money always. It's how you feel. It can be anything, you know. Like you said, you can. Kevin says somebody wants to be the best fireman, or a good teacher, or a good parent.
Right.
You know, and dreams change also, you know.
Yes, exactly. As you evolve, dreams change.
Yeah,
And not
so
everybody
it's not
wants
about
to
the
be
money. It's
billionaire.
whatever you want, what you are driven to, you know.
Absolutely, yes. So the other thing was, you know, so you think, okay, these secret societies taught all this information, how to manifest your desires, how to be happy, healthy, and make your desires come true. Where did they get this information from? Did they just create it, make it up themselves? No, it actually came from, where did it come from, Kashmir?
Even I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. No, I know. Ancient monasteries, ancient scriptures, wisdom, true, like universal truth.
So in other words, this information isn't new. It wasn't created by the secret societies. This goes back thousands of years, you know, and this is ancient knowledge. But what they've done in secret societies is they've taken it and made it in such a way that people can apply it. Because when you look at ancient scriptures, we can even say with our Hindu scriptures, for example, they actually say this stuff. They mention all this stuff. However, it's so difficult to extract the information because it's so complex and there's so much dichotomy in the information that it's very difficult to actually get that information out. So the secret societies, what they did was they were able to put this information together so that it can be applied. You know, you can actually apply it in your life and create the life that you want. So Kevin Trudeau clearly says in his CD that he's just the messenger. You know, this is not his information. He's just a messenger, but he has a unique way of being able to get all the information and stack it in such a way that we can understand and we can apply it in our lives. So he's very intelligent and the way that he's been able to do that. Otherwise we'll just get confused. There's so much information out there. So he's done it in such a way that we can actually apply it. So why are they called secret societies? You know, why is it so secret? You know, so it's because,
well, they didn't want the information to get out. You know, they didn't want competition. They wanted to keep wealth and in their own gene pool, and they believed that success was genetics. And they said they should only marry within their own genetic pool, just like the royal family do, and just like other elite groups do. And they didn't want that DNA vibration to be passed down generationally, because if someone with a successful vibrating DNA gets married to someone like a peasant, let's say on the street, then that peasant will have the genes and they'll become successful, and then there's no hope for them
because think about it, if everyone knew this information and everyone applied it and everyone, you know, was happy, wealthy, wise, everything, you know, creating all their desires, then there'll be no control. Nobody will be able to control. So the control thing comes in, and we will just talk about this a little bit later on because we can actually apply it to certain things that are also happening right now. We won't go into it in a lot of detail, but we can apply it to what's going on right now as well. But there was somebody who actually wanted this information shared to the masses. And I'm sure you know the answer, but do you know who that was?
Andrew Carnegie.
Yes! Andrew Carnegie founded
ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
One of the richest men in the world, and he wanted that information shared out to the masses, and he, with the help of Napoleon Hill, he was able to do this. But there was somebody who was very
vocal against it. Who was that, guys? Who was very vocal against getting this information leaked out? Heaven forbid.
Henry Ford.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. Another gold star.
Yeah. So you know, Katie says that this information is the real deal. It works, and Katie's applied it, and it works. And it's used by the people who control the planet, you know, and the people who control the planet are people that have control over the media flow, oil industry, food and drug industry, transportation. And you can see actually, without getting too into it, what's happening right now. There's a lot that's happening in the world right now. In 2020,
with the pandemic, with the COVID, with the vaccination,
there's a lot of control going on, but it's much more
in your face.
If you're open to being able to see it like that. It is much more open. You can see it more now happening, whereas before I would say that it's always been happening. There's always been this control, but we may not have been aware of it. It would have been there, but
insidiously done in a subtle way. So you may think that you're part of the free enterprise, but you ain't really. Like Kevin Trudeau said, you know, we're all voluntary slaves if you're going to a 9-to-5 job. But so I felt it since a job-wise, but now it's more in your face. It's more exposed now, the control, especially those who understood there was such a thing as a parasitical elite class.
So Kevin Trudeau says that actually this information to be and have anything and everything you want is actually simple. It's simple, but there are nuances. So it isn't as difficult as we think it is. And I think that's a really important mindset to have, rather than having it's so complicated or so difficult to manifest your desires. You're already putting in a bit of resistance with that. So he actually does share that it isn't as difficult as we think it is. And so in the secret societies, how did they learn this information? So there were 4 ways that they did this. Can you remember what the 4 ways were that they learned? Because the reason why the 4 methods that they learned this information, and the reason why I want to bring this up is because we're doing some of this. So in fact, we're doing all of it, maybe.
I think this answer is for Oscar. Oscar, están preguntando cuáles son los 4 métodos que las sociedades secretas tienen de compartir información.
Pues de tú a tú.
From a one-on-one.
En pequeñas reuniones.
Yeah, in small meetings.
A través de los libros.
Through books.
Yeah.
Y audios, ¿no? Creo.
And audios. 3, therefore.
Yeah, that's it. So the workshops, lectures, seminars.
Yeah. Okay.
Observing.
Ding, ding, ding. Mini punto.
Gold star.
True Jedi Knight.
And what was that, Mario?
The true Jedi Knight.
The true Jedi Knight.
Yes.
Well done, Oscar. You got all 4. So one of them, which was being an apprentice to a mentor. So you may be a mentor, but you're also an apprentice to a mentor. So that's how it worked within the secret societies. And he said I think Katie said that there were some workshops and lectures and seminars, but he did put an emphasis on one of them, one of those 4 methods. And do you know which one it was that he put a little bit more emphasis on in the CD?
Like observing, like in an apprentice.
Books, no? Wait, I don't know.
No, I think they're all important. I believe they're all important. But one of them, ones he put a little bit more emphasis on, I felt
we can all do.
Is reading.
We've all done. Yeah.
Reading
books. Yeah, reading books.
Well,
you know, he said leaders are always readers,
and readers become leaders.
So the controlling elite class, you know, that didn't want this information leaked. They wanted the masses to be illiterate, so not have good reading skills, because they knew how much power there is in reading. But even now, in this day and age, the way that they're teaching readings, I think he did mention phonics, something called phonics, which doesn't help people to read as well as they could. And if you think about it now, in this day and age, not many people read. You know, when I used to travel on the train into central London, I would look around to see who's reading a book.
Yeah.
And everyone was on their phones, going like this.
Yeah.
Very few people had a physical book, physical math, and be reading a book. And if somebody was, I would be fascinated. I'd be, what, they're reading a book.
Yeah, he's in the secret society.
That's it.
Reading a book,
Yeah, and we must admit, sometimes we find it much easier to watch something on YouTube for information than actually picking up a book and reading it, you know. And this is our honest kind of what we feel, but we realize, we understand how important it is in reading. And what I find with reading is that when I'm reading something rather than listening to it, when I listen to something, I miss lots of things. But when I read something, it somehow goes in more for me. And I know everyone's different, but also what I do is if I do miss something that I've read, like my mind might have been somewhere else, then I'll go back and read that bit again. So whereas on an audio, you don't necessarily rewind that audio and then listen to it again. So for me, definitely reading. And then even more, I learn even more when I'm reading and taking notes. And that's like, yes, that's a really good method. So definitely reading, read. And one of the things that I just love about Katie is that when we first got introduced to his teachings, we started reading. You know, I can't believe how much I read for the first time, because I was
never
reading.
Finished a book.
Yeah, before we never used to finish a book, or we'd read a bit every now and again, but not that much. But as soon as we got hold of Katie's teachings, he just inspired us to just read, you know, read from the book list that he recommended. So yes,
me too. I
mean, value. He's always
hated reading.
Yes.
He's the only one who made me read. I had this book, Quantum Learning, and I had this book, Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, when I was 24 years old. This was 10 years ago, before I met Katie, before Katie came into my life, and I just couldn't finish off the book. It was a very interesting, fascinating book. Finally, it was exposing me to the teachings of law of attraction, and that that you have power to be doing, having everything you want, and your mind is powerful and whatnot. But yet I didn't finish the book. Why? I don't know, because Tony Robbins never told me the benefits of reading. But Kevin Trudeau comes into my life, and he uniquely expresses powerfully and effectively what the importance of reading is, the history behind reading, the fact that leaders are always readers and readers become leaders, the fact that the most successful people in the world read books and they are ferocious readers, and that just inspired me that I want to be like them. I want to become successful. I want to tread along that path, so I'm going to start reading. That's how you get someone to read, when you tell them all the benefits, the history, everything about it.
Even more, and I think he says this later on, is when you
bravo.
when you read something, it's important to think about what you read.
That's it.
So it's not about how much you read in a day, it's about the quality of how much you're actually taking in and thinking about it. So, you could read just a paragraph, but you could really think about what you read in that paragraph and really absorb it and have cognitions and even questions, or make you think even more about it. So I think that's more important than saying, oh, I read 5 pages today, that's good, but you couldn't even remember what you read. Somebody asks you, what did you just read? Oh, I don't know. and that's happened to me before, like when you read something and you just don't actually know what you read,
gives me cognition.
So and this is why I think we started the book club sessions, was because I knew that if I'm facilitating a discussion, I have to read it, I have to think about it, I have to think about questions, and I have to take notes. So it's not just an easy read, I have to really take it in. So it's important to, obviously, it's the quality of the reading which is most important. So,
Mario.
There's also a part in the CDs where he's talking to Charlie Tremendous Jones, where he asked him, hey, tell me about reading, and he can go on for hours talking about the benefits of reading for hours. Imagine how much benefits there actually must be about reading. They the letters put images in your mind, and I myself was watching myself reading, and I think about all this positive stuff, and it's just by reading.
Just by reading. And another thing, Kashmir had this experience where she was reading some books in the morning and she was just feeling okay, just all right. And then she read something in a book and all of a sudden her emotions were elevated. She was feeling so good just by reading something that was inspiring. You get moved by it, so
especially when it resonates with you at the time and you just happen to read the right paragraph, the
just
right
what
sentence,
you needed
exactly
at that time.
What your soul and your heart needs at the time. It emotionally moves you, it stirs you, it's that kind of cognition. Is an energetic movement shift in the body, man, like the cells come alive.
And you feel so good for that moment. And it's not like you've eaten some tasty food or you've gone out to a party or you've watched some TV. all you've done is you're sitting in your room and you've read something, a few sentences that have just inspired you, and you just feel so much joy inside of you.
Me and Minal had this experience. We were sitting in a bar / club.
Oh, yes.
The pattern on leadership, which we're going to go through if we continue these future sessions, which is like level 1, part 5 or something, pattern on leadership. And the whole thing
it was
on
level
leadership.
4.
Was it level 4? Oh yeah, no, the score is level 5. Yeah. Part 5. Oh my God, it was amazing.
It was a whole section on leadership, and I remember studying 6 hours on it all day. I was transcribing the notes, and by the end of the day, I felt like a leader. I felt like limitless, like I could do anything. And then we shared the information together in a little bar.
So everyone's watching the game, they're drinking beer. Me and my sister are studying like crazy the leadership, and we're getting goosebumps and adrenaline rush, you know, and
we were on a high,
and biological rush happening in the body. And I'm getting up off my seat, and people think I've drank Red Bull or drank beer. No alcohol for me.
Taking a drug or something.
We don't take no drugs, nothing. We just 100% got high on the leadership audio. It was just freaking fascinating. So this is when it really cognizes. Is that a word? Cognizes. You know the reference. That's when it gives you a big cognition. You know, it emotionally moves you.
Yeah,
material.
That's it. And so, you know, okay, so you've got all this information, you've got all these books. How are you going to learn it? You're only going to, now this is so key. When we thought about it, this is so key. You're only going to learn this information if you're teachable. If you're not teachable, that's it. It stops there, right? So you've got to be teachable. This is such an important concept. When you say, I know it all.
I got it.
And it's funny because sometimes we catch ourselves saying that. We literally do. We say, oh, I know this information.
I know this stuff.
I'm like, to learn it. Do we really? Just then we're not as teachable at that moment. But it's good to be aware of it as well, because it might come up for us as well. So when you say I know it all, you're not teachable because you won't want to learn. If you know it all, then you're not going to learn anything new, or you're not even going to have the desire to learn anything new.
Yeah, you shut yourself off to
but
any
the thing is, and I know you know this quote, you don't know what you don't know. That's it. And when you find out something that you don't know, you're like, I didn't know this. And then there'll always be something else that you don't know. There's always you're always learning, you know. So if you get this concept, Katie said, if you get this concept about being teachable, then you will be more successful, happier, and achieve faster. So I remember Socrates, it was a quote, and Socrates said that I'm the most wisest because I know nothing.
Yeah.
And that was
Okay.
And I love that. That just really resonated with me. So when you're learning this information and you've got a mentor or coach, you know, listen. It's important to listen, but have discernment, and don't blindly follow. It's important to question. And if something is true, then you can investigate and explore, why is it true? You know, so why might it be true? So it's really important to have that. And with the books that we read and all the information, it's important to have discernment, because some things will be on point and some things will be a little bit off. But having that discernment is very important. So your teachability index, what is teachability index? Now, this is the second concept that Katie talks about in CD1. What is it? Well, it determines how teachable you are. And there are 2 variables to the teachability index. Do you remember those?
Who would like to answer the question?
I'm sure.
Mario has put his hand up.
Willingness to learn and willingness to accept change.
Yes.
That's it. Willingness to learn and willingness to accept change. So willingness to learn, what does that mean? What does willingness to learn mean?
I mean, are you willing to how far do you want to learn something? Are you willing to, and he gives an example of what are you willing to, like, your favorite thing, are you willing to put it away for a while, to take out your time and learn this new stuff? You know, what are you willing to sacrifice to learn this information? This will tell you how willing to learn you really are.
Yeah.
It takes time and maybe also sacrifices for a certain amount of time to just learn this new stuff.
Absolutely. So you've got to be willing to give up something.
Favorite thing.
And it could be your favorite thing that you spend a lot of time on. So it could be
Watching TV,
putting the
golf
golfing,
clubs away,
looking
playing video games,
hanging out with your friends at the bowling alley.
Yeah, whatever it is. And they're probably fun things that you love doing, but if you're really determined to learn this information, you'll be willing to give it up.
You'll swap it. That's what we did. Like, we used to watch TV in the evenings. We swapped it with reading books and listening to Kevin Trudeau audios.
A lot of the things we used to do in the past, we stopped doing.
And then now it's become a habit. We just never do it. We could never do it now. We could never go back to how we were before. I'll never watch those soaps.
Is there anything, just out of interest, is there anything when you were going through Katie's teachings, is there anything that you gave up or you do less of that you used to do before?
Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
Well, when I moved, I didn't take with my TV with me. I left.
Wow.
No, I don't have it. So I'm not. I used to go home, and the first thing I did was turn on the TV just to listen to something, And now I don't even have the opportunity because I don't want to. It's I don't need it. It's with
Oscar,
the PlayStation anymore, which I used to have.
Oscar and you, que están preguntando de qué es lo que tuviste que dejar de lado para aprender la información de Kevin. De la capacidad de aprender, si tuviste que sacrificar algo, dejar de lado algo.
La verdad que no, simplemente cambiar a lo que le prestaba atención, que eran otros libros, y lo sustituí.
Oscar says that he was reading other books and he just exchanged those books to just listen to Kevin.
La verdad que de los 4 fundamentos hacía prácticamente todo bien, pero menos el de la balanza de entrenamiento, y por eso fallaba siempre.
Yeah, he's saying that from the 4 basics, the training balance scale to him was the one missing in his life.
Wow.
Okay.
Big one,
Yes.
That's a big one, yeah.
Armand.
Sí.
Armand.
Sí.
No, que si quieres decirle que tú te has leído mi libro y en el libro viene casi todo bien, menos el punto de la balanza de entrenamiento.
Vale. Oscar is saying that he wrote a book himself, and in his book there was already almost the basics and everything, but the training balance scale I think we will get now there, but it's that. So
that's the one for Oscar, yeah. And that's such a amazing concept as well, and we'll definitely be going through that in the next CDs, in the next sessions. I can't wait for that.
Nobody ever taught this. That's why.
Nobody ever taught this.
Katie is the only one that came up with who do you listen to, teachability index, training balance scale, the 4 steps of mind goes through, and master the first 4.
A lot of books put so much emphasis on actions and
absolutely, yeah.
Yes,
so
exactly.
much, and everybody take action, do this, do that, and nobody puts so much emphasis on the other side, which is the biggest.
Exactly right.
99% is
Yeah.
your attitude, what you feed your mind, everything, it's all in here. And if you're correct here, then everything else, what you do, will flow out automatically correctly. So
absolutely.
But it starts in the mind.
Yes, I can't wait to get to that section. I'm looking forward to that. So going back to the teachability index, so the 2 variables, so willingness to learn is, like Mary was sharing, is, willingness, what are you willing to give up? And, we've given up a few things, not completely, but we've definitely cut those down much more than what, in fact, some things we have given up completely.
We just don't watch TV anymore.
Yeah, we don't actually
have a TV license.
So we don't even watch any TV actually. So the other concept is willingness to accept change. Now, what does that mean for you? Willingness to accept change, that part of the teachability index.
To my point of view, is just changing the way you think, your habits, and also it's what also Mario said, like what are you willing to sacrifice? If, for example, I play tennis, I'm willing to maybe miss tennis for a couple of weeks, maybe to learn this information. So from I think the neurological point of view, it's also huge, right? Because there's that neural pathway running, right? So you have to create another one. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So, you know, are you willing to kind of think differently? Like you said, you know, feel, you know, change the way you're thinking and do things differently. You know, you'll be doing things differently. And that's hard for a lot of people because it's become habit, what we do, you know. And I remember Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's a neuroscientist, and he was saying that by the time you're 35, you've already established your habits, which is scary, yes. Now, and I don't take that as like 100% true, but that's where he was coming from. And but it doesn't mean you can't change, because you can always change. Because of neuroplasticity, your brain can change. You know, you can build new neural pathways, and you can prune apart neural pathways as well. So yeah, don't feel like, oh, you know, if you get
I'm still 29.
Look, I think I'm really older than all of you, so I'm way past that age.
No, Oscar is also old. Está preguntando por la edad, porque dice que Joe Dispenza dice con 35 años tus canales neuronales están fijados, no los puedes cambiar. ¿No? Y dice, claro, dice, bueno, dice Minal que ella es la más vieja. Y digo, no, Oscar también.
Oscar can give me some company.
39.
39, Oscar.
Oh, Oscar's 30. Oh, then I'm definitely older than all of you then.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, willingness to accept change is a big part of teachability index. So when you're scoring, so teachability index, you can score it, you know, so you can score each variable out of 10. So what's the ideal score for each variable? So if you were scoring, let's say, your willingness to learn, and that was 10, but your willingness to accept change was 0, then 10 times 0
is 0.
Yes.
So you're not teachable.
You're not teachable. So ideally, both of them should be high. You know, 10 and 10 would be ideal, because then that means you're 10 times 10, teachable. You're 100% teachable. And that's the ideal level to get at. So the kind of things you would say if you're 100% teachable would be, you know, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll give up anything. This is my obsession, my number one priority, to change my thinking. And, you know, I love it when Katie says, you know, if you want things in your life to change, you're going to have to change things in your life. It sounds like such a simple thing, but I have used that sentence to so many people. But it's true. And he also says the Chinese definition of insanity
is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So things will never change if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. And what's the most important thing you need to change, guys?
Your thoughts.
You think.
Yeah.
The way you think.
The way you think is the most important thing.
It takes you to the 100% side of the training balance scale, of course, which is your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your thinking.
So
just from time to time, you know, sometimes you're very teachable, sometimes you're not so teachable, and then
absolutely.
Teachability index varies. So this was a question we were going to ask you guys. Have you ever experienced in your life where your teachability index has varied? Have you ever felt that, oh, I was really teachable at this point of my day, and then I realized that my teachability index dropped at this point of the day? Because this will really help with your self-awareness as well, and how you can see your teachability index fluctuating. So would anyone like to share that?
Me with chocolate. And sorry for this example, but when I was reducing my weight, sometimes you say, well, I have to eat more healthy, and you know, you think about the things you're eating, right? And sometimes you say, hey, I cannot eat chocolate or sugar or those kind of food. For example, when you read Natural Cures, there's so many things you should consider stop eating, right? So sometimes when I was reducing my weight, my teachability index went down, and I started again to eat more, and so that's one example.
Yeah, that's a really good example, actually, Aman, and it's I'm sure lots of people will resonate with that as well. And yeah, we've definitely experienced times when we're not teachable. In fact, there's times when would you say there's times we haven't wanted to just engage in the information as much?
I think we've gone
Yeah.
through phases with that back in the day. It was like,
Yeah.
probably like, it's been over the past year or like quite a long time ago, because now we've got back into it again and very engaged. But there was a time where I think we were relying more on watching YouTube videos, and we were watching more of information, passive learning, and we weren't really actually properly engaging in the material like we first did when we first got into Kevin Trudeau's teaching. So we noticed that the intensity levels changed, you see, because I could reel the information off.
There's one thing I want to add here, because Meena said something, and you also asked me about YouTube with these first basics, right? Because when you think about who do you listen to in Teachability Index, now with the more YouTube videos are, the more books, these basics become more and more important, right? Because
Definitely.
Yes.
so much information. So
Much
I think these basics has a long-term vision, right? Like they're becoming more and more important. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even more important now than ever before.
Yeah.
Mario, yes.
Yes, and also think that sometimes it's fine to go to other sources and get another perspective, because when you get back then to KT, you see them in a different way. I mean, it's I used to listen to the You Wished Your Command a lot of times, but I wasn't after a while I wasn't listening intently anymore, and I felt like I needed something to happen in my life to now reflect on it again and see, okay, what happened here, and now I can think about it when I re-listened to the videos. I heard something new, because I had a new cognition. I was somebody different at the time.
Yes.
And when I hear a different or read another book, I can see, okay, this makes sense. This is in line with what KT says, and then I have a new cognition. And so I think it's fine sometimes to listen to something new, which gives you a fresh perspective. And
Definitely, that's what we did.
Absolutely, and we've done that as well.
Discernment. We linked information from other teachers, speakers, and we could link. This is what they're phrasing it in a different way, but they're talking about this concept of Kevin Trudeau, this teaching from Kevin Trudeau. So,
Oscar, ¿quieres añadir algo de la capacidad de aprender? Si crees que tu capacidad de aprender en algún momento ha bajado y por qué.
Bueno, quería añadir algo de lo anterior, que sí que es verdad, es que me acabo de acordar ahora, y también está relacionado con la capacidad de aprender, porque me tuve que alejar, o sea, se alejaron muchos amigos y tuve que resistir la tentación a llamarlos para no seguir con los patrones.
Oscar is saying that, for example, when it comes to who do you listen to, also that he had to get out of his old friends and build some kind of resistance in order to break some patterns.
Yes.
Right? ¿Algo más?
No, nada más. Eso fue importante para mí porque, bueno, ya lo sabes, que yo me relacioné con todo el mundo y demás, y ese paso como que fue bastante fuerte, el resistir la tentación a llamarlos.
And he's adding also that he's a very social person, and for him, he was very tough to get out, to build new relationships, build new like-minded people, right? And it was tough for him to say somehow bye to
his other friends. Yeah. That's a big challenge. Yeah, I can understand how difficult that must be. And when you're going through the journey of all this work, you do find that sometimes you do have to separate yourself from the usual crowd that you hang around with. And sometimes also what happens is that when you go through changes, people around you don't recognize you anymore because you're different, you're a different person. So sometimes friends you drift apart from people as well. I know that we've definitely had that where friends have just drifted apart, and the connection we used to have, there's no vibrational match anymore with those people. So
está diciendo Oscar que mola eso, ¿no? Que de repente tú creces, ¿no? Y que luego ya hay una congruencia vibracional, ¿no? Que ya no te reconocen tus amigos.
Gracias. Si luego lo vemos por internet.
Okay. Keep going.
Did he say did he want to share anything else?
No, he's saying that he will see the replay again in English on YouTube.
Okay. Yes.
Sure. So So when does your the other question I wanted to ask was
also when you are processing the data and when you're overwhelmed, that's when your teachability index can crash as well.
Yes.
That's why Kevin makes these audios in 20-minute intervals. He does this on level 4 training because he knew that that's the optimal time for learning, and your teachability index can crash. And that's why he took a lot of breaks during the Your Wish is Your Command audio series as well. And you tell people to come back, after a 10-minute break or 5-minute break. Yeah. Because you can get overwhelmed as well, too much data to process.
Yes, he gives the example of being like a sponge,
Yes.
At some point you're full, and then
and then you can't
later, and then absorb new information later on.
Yes, that's it. So the last thing on track 9, and this is coming up to the end of the CD, he does say that you're either growing or you're dying. You're never staying the same.
There's no such thing as stagnation.
Yeah, and the reason is because if I think about it, we're all energetic beings. Everything is energy. We're also energetic beings, and energy is always moving.
It's in constant motion.
It's in constant motion. So you can be growing, so moving upwards or moving backwards, but you can't be the same. You can't be stuck as the same, and that makes total sense. And it's funny, even before Katie's teachings, I was introduced to his teachings. I remember saying to my friend, I was going through a very difficult period in my life, and I said to my friend, I don't feel like I'm growing. I feel like I'm dying. And I remember naturally saying that. I felt like I was going backwards, not forwards. And that's when, the right teachers came to me, and Katie shortly came to me afterwards. So I must have been asking for it, and so, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So the main thing that he says right at the end is, are you willing to think differently? He asked that question, are you willing to think differently? And like I said, I might have mentioned before, that's very difficult for people, especially when you're hardwired to think a certain way. All of a sudden, you've got to be open to thinking differently. And so a lot of resistance can come up for people when you're going through that process. But that's kind of the main thing I wanted to say. So we're just going to do before we do a quick recap of CD1, because we're coming up to the end of it, is there anything else you want to add to anything that we've discussed, or anything you want to share?
Any comments, observations, cognitions or questions that you'd like to add?
I want to share something also I discussed with Oscar like 2 days back, because Oscar was saying that if you also focus on these basics, you also attract people who are focusing on these basics, right? So he was saying very interesting that if you have a high teachability index, by the law of attraction, you're gonna attract people, situations, and events so you're also like a spiral of knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
So that's very interesting, no? Like if we are here, it's because we have also a very high.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, we co-created this mastermind, you see.
And that's true, that happens. Like when you're focused on a particular type of information, you start to attract conversations and people and circumstance and events that are along the same wavelength. And I remember it happened to us 2 weeks ago. We were in a shop. It's called Planet Organic. It's an organic shop
in West London,
and we overheard a conversation of somebody speaking to this customer speaking to one of the guys that was working there, and we realized, oh my God, this girl thinks exactly how we think and how we're seeing the world right now. And she was talking about some of the things that are in Katie's audios as well. So we were just fascinated, and we couldn't help but hear her conversation. And then after she finished the conversation with the person working there, I came up to her and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, hear your conversation, but I just realized you're kind of on the same page as we are and how we see things. And we ended up speaking for a whole hour and having this high vibrational conversation. All about the same things that we all talk about, and it was just amazing, and it was very random. It was like, how did that happen?
But we did make an intention to the universe approximately half an hour prior to the conversation, and we said to the universe that we intend to meet a high vibrational, like-minded person. We want to strike up a conversation with a total stranger, and it's going to be high vibrational and it's going to be like-minded, and that's exactly what happened a half an hour later. out of the blue.
which was amazing.
But
But
just another
you're
synchronicity.
yeah. But Amanda, you're so right though. I love what you shared, and that you do start to attract more like-minded people when you're focusing on these concepts. And like this group, like we've got this group going. So it's amazing. And so if you want to just recap the CD one.
Yes, the CD one was, who do you listen to? Okay, so first things first. The whole point of the Jinn training is to be, do, and have anything and everything you want. The fact that you create your own reality and you can make all your dreams come true. To summarize the Jinn training, the whole purpose of it. Now, of course, he goes through the two basic concepts. The first one being, who do you listen to? You listen to people who have what you want and who has been where you are, and ultimately you listen to yourself, your own feelings.
And the second concept was teachability index.
Your willingness to learn, your willingness to accept change. What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do? Whatever it takes to learn this information. And accepting change. What is that? What does he mean by that? Changing the way that you think is the most important thing.
Yes. And as we go through the sessions, future sessions, we'll be delving deeper into these concepts. And these concepts will keep coming up because it's important to master these basic concepts. So it will come up a few times. So this is coming up to the end of CD1. So at next session, we'll be discussing CD2. And that will be very soon. And we'll be uploading that video very soon. So I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much for your contributions and sharing your experiences, including Oscar. Thank you so much for being here. And we're really looking forward to our next session of CD2 of Your Wish is Your Command.
And may you never be the same again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me. No te vayas, Oscar, que es una grabación. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.